Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I know I haven't posted here in a while, but as you know, things be popping off over on TikTok and it takes a lot of my time, but I wanted to sit down today and just relax and give you guys a great series I think will be very beneficial for you, that I think lends itself a little bit better to YouTube and long form, so I could really get into it, show you a bunch of products and really describe why these are as good as they are. But I wanted to sit down and give you guys the best of the best makeup in 2021, and I think it's important to note, think of this series almost as the Allure Best in Beauty, where there can be things from older years, and if nothing has come out in the present year better than it, it just kind of keeps winning awards. That's how I went into this. So not everything was released in 2021, but if it is the best of the best in this past year for me, it made this list. I also think it's important to note the criteria for making this list is, if you don't know, I'm a bridal makeup artist, a professional makeup artist for almost 8 years, and everything on this list has been put through the ringer. If something better came along, it was kicked out of my kit. So these products that I'm showing you today are the things that are top of mind, top of my bridal makeup kit, used on every single client, nothing better out there for me, and I wanted to share them with you. And the criteria for that is quality, obviously, as well as inclusion and diversity falls under the quality of this makeup that I'll be talking about, as well as availability. I'm not a big believer in this niche stuff that is just so either of the moment or fad or viral that is so difficult to get your hands on and constantly sold out. There's better options for you. There's better options that sit on the shelf that everyone ignores and are highly underrated that I guarantee are just as good as that viral thing you're seeing of the moment. And last but not least is price. I am a big advocate and believer that, to be honest with you, any makeup over $50 is not going to be worth it. Makeup is very marked up, and I don't think there is much makeup over that $50 price point that is worth it. I think on the entire series I'll be doing, including all the parts, there's 2 products maybe over $50. I can't even remember, but that's how little it is. So those are the 3 kind of staples that I judge all of my makeup on. So this is part 1 of the video series where we'll be diving into the best of the best primer, foundations, and concealers. I wanted to break it up in little kind of subsections that went together so you could really see my thought process behind everything. So there will be multiple parts to this series. So before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the following parts that I post, where we'll be dissecting literally every single makeup category you can imagine, down to tools, cleaners, etc. You do not want to miss it. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified every single time I post. So without any further ado, get cozy, get comfortable. I have my coffee here in my Luca mug. We are going to dive into the absolute best primer, foundation, and concealers of the year. So for today's first category, we have primers. I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with primers. I use them. I don't really subscribe to all the bells and whistles and just claims about a lot of primers, and I think a lot of them just do nothing. So I really try to keep my eyes open for something that is just going to smooth the skin, make the foundation look better, and enhance the longwear. That is, or really not hurt the longwear. That's my only criteria. I don't think you're gonna find a primer that is gonna make the be-all and end-all of your foundation just look amazing, and I think a lot of people misconstrue that primer is going to correct what they're not doing with their skincare. And as a makeup artist, if you're not exfoliating and hydrating with serum, moisturizer, and eye cream, those 4 steps at minimum, you're gonna see texture on your skin. You're gonna see dry skin patches. It's gonna settle. The smoother your skin is, the smoother the foundation is, and I think a lot of people want primer to overcompensate for their lack of skincare routine. I may be calling you out here, but that's just my opinion, seeing client after client. So like I said, I really try to pick primers that combat that. You have to understand, I walk into every makeover I do expecting that the person is not taking care of your skin. I need to prepare for the worst case scenario. So that is what a lot of these primers are kind of tailored to do. So keep that in mind. If you are someone that takes care of your skin, these are gonna be even better. So first up, if you're someone who's just looking for hydration, I would recommend this for dry to combo and mature. If you're oily, I'd stay away from this, but this is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. It is the Embryolisse Concentrate. I'm not even going to try to say the entire name here. It's much cheaper than the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, but I love using this on people that don't really need any texture correction, like they have larger pores, or I can tell I'm gonna need something to smooth the skin a bit and they're just looking for hydration. It's really very much just like a lotion. So this is such a beautiful cream to start out your makeup with, even after your moisturizer, and it almost acts like the Magic Cream where it just plumps the skin, it nourishes, it really hydrates. It's so, so beautiful. And you can find this on Amazon. So these next two are honestly probably my holy grails. I use these on the most people just because they work for everybody, dry, oily, mature, everyone in between, and they really fill and smooth the skin, the pores, and if there is any dry skin or someone isn't taking care of their skin, it really just makes the foundation go on much smoother. It prevents it from creasing and settling. So the higher end of this is the KEVYN Aquan Skin Enhancing Primer. This is so, so beautiful. This really feels like a lotion more than your typical primer, but why I love it so much is it really does have a very light and tolerable silicone-y slip to it, and you can feel it smoothing out the skin as you put it on. It really adds a second skin almost to everything, and I feel it really makes the foundation lay on the skin so beautifully, and just prevents it from showing texture the way foundations would with nothing underneath. And an affordable version of this is the Touch in Sol No Problems Primer. This is a tried and true. This one is, again, has almost the same thing as the KEVYN Aquan, where it feels hydrating, but it also has a little bit of that silicone slip without being too much. And my other thing with primers is I feel like I like to have a little bit of that silicone slip, but I don't want it to feel too silicone-y. But also I think a lot of pore filling primers can feel very dry, where it's nothing but silicone and no hydration. And I think that's when it can start to pill up or roll up onto the skin and actually start affecting or ruining the finish of your foundation. So keep that in mind. Now for the people with oily skin, I have used this one for so long, which I apologize for the packaging. It looks so beat up. This is from Soap and Glory. This is the One Heck of a Blot Primer. This one, to be honest with you, I think you'll have to order. It's very hard to find in stores, but I love this for people with oily skin. It has almost the exact same texture as the No Problems, where it really is that beautiful kind of lotiony silicone slip, but it really does wonders for preventing the oil from peeking through, especially in the T-zone. That's where I'll use it on people most. Even if they tell me they're oily, I'll do a dot of this here, 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 and here, and then even do a more hydrating primer around the perimeters, because most people who are oily, they're actually a combination, and they're dry around the perimeter. So that one for oily skin is to die for, and it doesn't dry your skin out. And for the last one on this list, this can be for everybody. I would maybe stay away from this if you're excessively oily, but for my dry combination and especially mature skin, this has been my holy grail this year. This is the Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1. This is a complete dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, and I love this on mature skin. I'll swatch it heavier so you can see it. A lot of times I will put this on mature skin, and after blending it out, I can't even tell you, sometimes I don't need any foundation at all after this, and other times I need 1/5 as much foundation as I thought I was gonna need, because it really does give just the most beautiful amount of light coverage to the skin. So for mature skin, it adds that beautiful hydrated glow. It blurs the skin. It just looks so soft and natural, and the natural, subtle, pearlescent sheen that it gives really makes mature skin look so just breathes a new life into it. It takes the sallowness out of it, it makes it pop, it just covers the redness just as much as you need it, and it's just enough coverage where it doesn't feel and look too heavy. Now moving on from primer, we're gonna go into foundation. So this is a heavy category here, and foundation is something that I fuss over the most. I love doing foundation reviews, specifically over on TikTok, and I am just obsessed with finding the perfect foundations that just have beautiful long wear, are hydrating, don't crease, just make this skin look blurred and airbrushed and beautiful, and that really is my wheelhouse when it comes to doing clients. For me, it is all about the skin, it is all about the complexion. So this curation of foundations really is probably my holy grail 6 foundations that I could not live without. So to kick things off, let's start with the lightest coverage. This is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer. So this tinted moisturizer is so beautiful in the sense that it is hydrating, it is packed with hyaluronic acid, it has a beautiful shade range, and I love it for people that really don't want a lot of coverage, but just want to even out, cover the redness. I even use this on myself sometimes. It just gives the most perfect light sheer amount of coverage without being too much. And I normally use this on clients that need very little bit of coverage and just kind of want to even out the skin's complexion and give them that base. And it really looks like you have nothing on, which is the best part about this tinted moisturizer. But a lot of tinted moisturizers, in my opinion, I worked for Laura Mercier for years, and her tinted moisturizer was very popular. I didn't love it. I didn't really understand the hype behind it because I think it not only almost sheared down into nothing, it showed a lot of texture. It laid on the baby hairs. In my opinion, it's actually harder to make a sheer coverage foundation and a sheer coverage look better and smoother than a full coverage look, because a full coverage look, the client or yourself, you know you're going to see makeup on your face, but someone who wants a invisible kind of makeup look, it's harder. So it really needs to be formulated perfectly to not accentuate the little baby phallus hairs, the little hairs along here, just show texture, dryness, while still giving that little dollop of coverage. So that's why this has to be my favorite tinted moisturizer. Now we're moving on to something I discovered a little bit later in the year, and this has to be a game changer for me. It is so rare that a foundation can make its way into my kit and be used on bridal clients more than the other ones that have been there for a couple years. But this one very quickly ran to the top of the list and works on so many people. It's insane. This is the L'Oreal True Match Nude Serum Foundation. So I tried this. I didn't think it was gonna be as good as it was when I saw people using it. I was like, okay, it's a serum foundation. Like, does it separate? What's the long wear like? Guys, this foundation, it is so lightweight and beautiful. It is very thin and hydrating. So I'll show you on the back of my hand. The only downside for me is the packaging. I don't love this because I think it gets very dirty around the edges. I wish they packaged it in something different, but this is what it looks like. It is very liquidy, very sheer, and why I love this so much is because it gives the perfect amount of coverage for a sheer foundation while not accentuating any texture. If anything, it hides texture and blurs texture. It has the perfect amount of sheen to it where it makes the skin look so dewy and hydrated, but not overly radiant where it's going to accentuate texture, accentuate pores. I use this on so many of my bridal clients because it's almost like airbrush makeup in a bottle. I don't particularly love airbrush makeup because I think it's very oily to be able to go through the machine, but this is almost what people would want to see on their face, but in a liquid foundation. Why this is such a draw for me is this looks beautiful on mature skin, which if it looks good on mature skin, it goes right to the top of my list of being a holy grail, and I can use the littlest bit of this and just blend this out where somebody needs it, and it gives just the right amount of coverage while making the skin look so natural and radiant and just lifelike, which really that is the goal. So this for me is 10 out of 10. I cannot recommend this enough, and it looks good on all skin types, dry, combo, oily. The long wear is phenomenal. I have seen people 9-10 hours after I've done their makeup with this, and it looks as good as the minute I put it on. It doesn't break up. There is honestly not enough good things about this. It's such a beautiful everyday foundation. If you're looking for a new one, I cannot recommend this one enough. Now moving on to another one of my absolute holy grails. This is a foundation I would say is best for people who are combination or oily. I think if you get a little bit shiny, this is your wheelhouse. If you are excessively dry or mature, I would maybe stay away from this. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. This was my holy grail when I started doing bridal makeup. It just looks good on so many different people. It is hydrating. It doesn't accentuate texture. It gives beautiful medium to full coverage. Honestly, you can even build this up to a fuller coverage if you'd like. But the best thing about this foundation, hands down, is the wear. This wears so beautifully, it's insane. 8-9 hour wear. If you're someone who has a full day's work or you are going to an event, it really keeps the oil at bay. It doesn't get shiny, it doesn't look sweaty and overly dewy as the day goes on, and it especially does not break up. This paired with the Soap and Glory One Heck of a Blot Primer normally is my go-to routine for people who have oily skin, and when I tell you this wears beautifully for 10+ hours, I've been at weddings that I did the makeup for, and it's flawless. So the next foundation in my list kind of completes my holy trinity of ultimate foundations with the L'Oreal Serum Foundation, the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear, because the Serum Foundation here I think works for everybody and people who want lighter coverage. This is more in your sheer to medium category. This is more in your medium to full leaning oily, and then this is in the medium to full leaning dry. So when I see a client that I know needs medium to fuller coverage or wants medium to fuller coverage, but I can tell is on the drier side or flakier side, dry patches, I'm not going to use the L'Oreal Fresh Wear because it's a little bit too geared for people with more hydrated skin. I reach for this. So like I said, this completes my holy trinity. This is the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. My word, I cannot say enough good things about this foundation. Again, this foundation looks so beautiful, even on people with oily skin. If you're not excessively oily, or you're taking care of it with your skincare, or you're using a primer that will help control that oil, or you're setting it properly, I really can't tell you enough. Anyone can use this foundation, even mature skin. On mature skin that I need a little bit more coverage than the Serum Foundation can handle, I'll go in with a little bit of this, but on those clients that are more dry, this is my holy grail. It starts medium, but you can build this up to a full coverage very, very quickly. And again, it's just my tried and true for people who are a little bit more dry. They have texture and dry patches on their skin that you need the foundation not to cling to them or accentuate them. That is this foundation. It doesn't accentuate any texture, it blurs pores, as well as the Longwear being absolutely phenomenal on the skin. It just makes the skin look airbrushed, and that's the goal of all of these foundations that I use and put on people, just to make the skin look as flawless as possible. And if you are leaning more dry, this is absolutely the best foundation you will ever use. And now, last but not least, we've reached the last foundation recommendation. This one has actually, I love on myself. So on my TikTok videos, I fell in love with this foundation so much because it is by far the most creaseless foundation I have ever used. Meaning I am somebody that I have forehead lines when I go up, I need Botox, and my smile lines when I have a full face of makeup on, it creases on me and it shows. I'm also somebody that is very textured as far as dryness is concerned. I exfoliate like crazy, I hydrate like crazy, but I'm just somebody, maybe also because I'm a man, I have rougher skin, and I think when I use something that shows radiance or dewiness to it, it just accentuates that texture. So I almost need something that leans a little bit more of a soft matte. You need to find that perfect trifecta of matte enough but hydrating. And not only is this foundation this, but it does not crease on me like I have never seen any other foundation not crease. And this is the KOKIE Skin Perfect HD Foundation. Let's get it to focus here. This foundation is just my holy grail when I'm filming. It makes my skin look absolutely airbrushed, plastic, flawless, no creasing, especially if you're someone that wants to build up a nice medium to full coverage. And for me, its claim to fame is really really keeping the oil at bay. I would say this is better for people who are combo leaning oily. If you're dry, this may be a little bit too matte for you, but I'm definitely combo. I am very dry all around here and it looks beautiful on me. So keep in mind, only if you are excessively dry, which if you're excessively dry, I would say that you're either not taking care of your skin the way you need to, using the right products, or your routine is off, or you might be going through something, maybe a medication drying you out. But if you're combo or oily, this will look beautiful on you, and especially if creasing is your issue, this by far is my #1 most recommended foundation for not creasing. And now we are moving on to the final category in today's video. I've been talking a lot, so let me take a sip. Is all things concealer. So concealer is huge. Concealer makes or breaks a good makeover. If it is settling and creasing and looking dry, it's the only thing a client notices. So this really is a tried and true category of the best of the best. So to start things out, we're gonna talk about a tried and true we've all heard of and something that is good for all skin types. I wanna get that out of the way first, just so you can see, because I'm sure you've seen this concealer before, and there's a reason you've seen it. This is the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer. This is absolutely to die for. It works on so many different skin types, especially if you are more dry. This is really where it's at. I would say this actually has more of a sheer to a medium finish. I think I actually backed away from using this a little bit more recently this year because it just doesn't give me the coverage I need. Keep in mind, if I was doing makeup for every day, this would be a holy grail for me. It is a holy grail, that's why I'm including it in this video, but I don't use it on bridal clients as much as I used to, because bridal clients, it's an event, it's special makeup, so I do want more fuller coverage just to really brighten the eyes and give that wow factor. But I'm including this because I think for every day, you will not find a better concealer than this. And on that note, moving along to another concealer that is a little bit more high-end, that is absolutely flawless for people who are more dry and more mature. This is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Concealer. I want to show you the other side with the name on it. This was by far the most impressive launch that Laura Mercier came out with when I worked for the company. I loved the way this looked on mature skin. I would take the doe foot of this and just pop one on the inside and a little swipe here, blend this out, set it with a nice finely milled powder, and it was just to die for. Like how beautiful this looked on people who are maybe just afraid of that crepey, cakey look under the eyes. You cannot go wrong with either one of them. Now moving along to our more full coverage concealers. This is a tried and true. We love it, we know it, so I have to include it because it really is worth the hype. This is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. With the black top here, this is the matte, and the hydrating one is in the white top. So keep that in mind. The black is more matte and the white is the hydrating. I personally like the matte because I think a concealer that has a little bit more of a soft matte finish tends to blur a little bit more than a very radiant concealer. I think a very radiant concealer can show a lot of texture under the eyes. This really did trump for me and push out the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. It just was more hydrating. I think the Tarte Shape Tape was a little bit too matte and just kind of could cake up a little bit easier, and I think this just had that little extra boost of hydration, but still gave you the exact same full coverage, just absolutely beautiful, beautiful coverage that the Tarte Shape Tape did, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Now moving along to my holy trinity, again, my top 3 concealers. This is the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear Concealer. I just got this one this year. It came out a few months ago, and when I tell you, this has to be one of the most beautiful, lightweight, hydrating concealers I have ever used. That's what it is. It is so beautiful on people who have drier under eyes or more mature skin, and people who just don't even need a lot of coverage. If you want to add a little dot of coverage under the eye, the doe foot is beautiful. It really just gives you the perfect doe foot to put a little here, blend this out. A little goes a long way because it is, even though it's more sheer and hydrating, it is pigmented. So the littlest dots really do give you a beautiful amount of coverage, and it just makes the under eyes look so silky and hydrated, which is, I think, a lot of the struggle when it comes to having drier skin or more mature skin. So this would definitely be on my top list for dry and mature. You can't go wrong with this one. Now moving on to to my second favorite concealer of all time. This one is very full coverage, and the reason I love this so much is because of the coverage. And I think it's very hard to make a full coverage product so creamy and lightweight that it doesn't look cakey and heavy. And my God, did this company do that. This is the KEVYN Sensual Skin Enhancing Concealer. So this stuff is so full coverage. It's insane. It comes in a pot, and when I tell you the littlest bit of like boop, it's to die for. But why I love this so much, I learned this when I worked more in retail cosmetics. Is as a guy, I always was trying to find products that were kind of a no makeup situation, and I was always using things that were sheer coverage, because in my mind I'm like, I don't want to be wearing a lot, so I need to put on something that's sheer. And I would find that it would actually make me look more makeup-y than fuller coverage products, because when they're sheer, they're not really pigmented and they don't have a lot of coverage, so you're putting more on to get the coverage you want. And the biggest thing is it tends to fade quicker, meaning as you go out through the day, by 6 o'clock at night, you look at yourself and you feel like you don't even have makeup on anymore, because it doesn't really have any lasting power. But something that is more pigmented and full coverage, using less of a full coverage product, actually will make the skin look more natural, because it is actually formulated to be spread out, sheared out, and it's formulated to last a long time. And it will actually be there by the end of the day. And that's where something with this Skin Enhancing Concealer by KEVYN, it gives you that coverage and gives you that beautiful full coverage. Use as little as you want or as much as you want. And think about it, if you have something that you want to cover, you're using so little of it, but blending it out all in the entire under eye, but because it is so solid and pigmented, it's covering it and you're using less product. But if you are someone that really wants to just like be beat for the high heavens, you can't, I mean, there's no more full coverage concealer than this, and I've never used a concealer that is so full coverage, but so hydrating, so creamy, and so long wearing. And now for my number one concealer of the video. This is my holy grail. I use this, honestly, almost on every single client as my eyeshadow primer as well, and on their under eyes for concealer. This is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. And keep in mind, this also is another concealer that comes in radiant and matte. This is the more radiant one. I don't even really want to call it radiant, because it's not like radiant and glowy. It's just not the matte one. I like the radiant one a little bit better, because I think it has the hydration that their matte version doesn't. So make sure you're getting not the matte one if you're interested in what I'm saying. But the reason this one for me is my absolute holy grail is because it's the perfect amount of coverage, a beautiful medium to full coverage. It is hydrating. It is a little bit thinner of a formula than the KEVYN, and not everyone can handle the thicker creaminess of a pot concealer like the KEVYN. So for the people that can, I will use that. But for the majority of my clients who don't even really need that coverage, I go with my Born This Way concealer. This is the concealer swatched on the back of my hand, and it just has the most beautiful, creamy radiance to it. You can really thin it out and sheer it out, and it just doesn't exaggerate any texture, which I think that is the real testament of a concealer for me, especially when I'm highlighting the nose, the forehead, and the chin. I don't want to accentuate any baby hairs or dryness or pores, and this gives that coverage without accentuating any texture. It's hydrating, it is long wearing, it is the most beautiful everyday or event medium coverage concealer on the market, so that is why this has to be my number one. That is it for today's video, you guys. I hope you got something out of this video, and I hope really getting a peek inside my holy grail makeup that I not only trust on myself, but I trust on my clients, just educated you a little bit and maybe gave you a new product you're interested in trying. I can't stress enough how much I put all of the makeup I showed you in this video through the ringer on hundreds of clients, and how much all of them work so beautifully on every client I have. And I hope it gave you something that you want to try yourself going into 2022. Stay tuned for part 2 of this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the little notification bell, and you'll get notified exactly the time I upload part 2, so you don't miss out on it, because we're going to keep deep diving into the best makeup of 2021. Wherever you are, I hope you have a happy, safe, and healthy holiday season and new year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in part 2.